All right, guys, this looks like a live stream, and that's the point. I can't actually live stream because my equipment is not really up to the level that it needs to be. So I'm just doing a recording, but it serves the purpose of showing you what is to come. I would say in a month, 2 months max, which is kind of cool because it still gives me time to figure out how all of this works. It's been a lot of work, even just getting it this far. And I don't know if you can see the test chat in there, but it works pretty well. So this is a test and you would see. So when I start to finally live stream, I'll be able to see the test, or I'll be able to see the chat. You guys will be able to see the chat. It could be kind of fun. You can ask questions, etc. But this is, again, just a recording. So I don't know how to set up the alerts for followers, subscribers, donations. I don't even know what a cheer is, but I just wanted to make it like even 2 and 2. So it's more of an aesthetic thing that I have the 4 boxes there. Plus they came in the overlay package. But in any case, this has been 2.0. So it's not just about me reacting to videos of expats. Sure, that's something that I'm going to continue doing. I think it's a lot of fun, and this way will actually be much, much quicker because I'm not going to have to try to, make it into a YouTube video. It's just going to be basically a VOD, a video on demand, or a recording of a live stream, so to speak. And I think it's going to save a lot of time. It's going to allow me to put out a lot more content more quickly with the limited time that I have, which is hopefully to change. But yes, I do want to move somewhere cheaper, which will help facilitate a better quality of life. However, I can't really do that right now because even if my income is sufficient, which it's sufficient based on the qualifications of various countries that have residence programs or visa programs, unfortunately, there is the other side of the coin, which is debt. So this is sort of a debt payoff journey episode, and this is going to be number 1. Now, I got all these screenshots back on, I think it was August 25th, because that's when I started doing the video. I got like 70% done with the video, and I just gave up. I couldn't finish it. So I've been experimenting with live streaming and trying to learn how to do that. I am going to be using Kick as my live stream platform, probably also YouTube, but I don't really feel like Twitch is the place for me. I feel like Twitch is just really like video games, and I don't, at least not now, I don't play video games. Maybe in the future I'll play something like Mega Man, or Streets of Rage 4, or Shinobi. I like those 2D platformers that make me feel like I'm, in middle school or late elementary school back in the SNES days. That's kind of the Genesis days. That's kind of like my sweet spot. But anyway, all right, let's get into what I owe, because I need to get these not all paid off, but I need to at least get them into a manageable position before I can really do anything. So, all right, starting with this is, as you can see, this is the Debt Snowball versus the Debt Avalanche. You can choose whichever one you want. You can see here basically what the difference is. The Snowball is where you start with the smallest balance. Now, over the long term, you're going to pay a little bit more. But if you have like a $300 bill, or like maybe an $800 bill balance versus like a $2,500 or a $6,000, you might just want to pay that $300 or $800 bill first, because that's going to be like, okay, I got that one done. It helps motivate you. And then you can take the money that you were sending to that bill and you can send it toward the next one. So it's a snowball effect. It like gets better and better as you go, but it does, again, over the long term, it does charge you more money. The other one is the Debt Avalanche. So the Debt Avalanche is, and if you guys know all this, forgive me, but I'm just kind of going over it. I have these all laid out. I'm just going to go through them in order. So there's a Debt Avalanche as well, which is, you're going to tackle the highest interest rate first. And in my case, thankfully, I don't actually owe anything that's more than 12%. So my highest one is 11.99%. It also happens to be my lowest balance. So it's a no-brainer. I would be using either of these or both of these simultaneously by doing this particular bill first. So my first bill is going to be, let's see, I've got Lowe's and this Tecna by Good Guys. These are both through Synchrony Bank. It's like a buy now, pay later, or a finance option basically. And I've labeled these. So I've got washing machine over here and HVAC. And then furthermore, this is the balances. So I've got the washing machine wasn't that much. It was $624.32. And then if I look at that one specifically, you can see right down here, it's 11.99%, which isn't that bad. I mean, compared to a credit card, that's like 22% or so. It's only a 6-month term. It's $107.73 a month. Now this again was back on August 25th. My next due date was August 28th. So that has been paid, and I'm down to about $315 on this one as of today. So it's half paid off. I really do plan to pay it off within the next month. Maybe a little bit more than a month, but pretty quickly. I do plan to get this one just taken care of, just eliminate it. Saves me a little bit more than $100, not too bad. The other one on this is the HVAC. So this is furnace, air conditioning, and the installation of the two systems. It was $3,295. It's a small house. It's like less than 1,000 square feet, but it's an older house. And, forgive me, those older houses have generally much better build quality. So I wouldn't want a brand new house anyway. But you can see these are both 107 and change. So it just happens to be that way. And I'm down to $897. And that is as of, September 11th. So this is still where it is today, but I do have another payment coming up in a few days, which will be down to, about what, a little bit less than 800. So not too bad. These are both, and then this one is 10.99%. So that's kind of like my second highest interest rate and my second highest balance, or my second lowest balance. So it actually works out perfectly well that these are the first two I'm going to pay, no matter if I do the Snowball or the Avalanche. And I'm going to do the Avalanche. At least that's what I've decided so far, because I think the interest rate is more important. It might change. I might throw a little bit of extra money towards something else, but for the most part, I am going to try to knock out the highest interest rates first. So I don't really need to think about that too much, because these first two, again, lowest two balances, highest two interest rates. It's super easy decision. These go first. Next, I have this, which is a detached garage roof. And this was, as you can see, $4,005. And it says interest rate is 0. It's a 3-year term, and the first year is 0%. I've double checked all of the paperwork, and I gave them a call, and it's very, very, very clear that the interest, once it starts in, I think it's December of this year, which is only like 3 months away. Once the interest starts, it's only going to start on the amount that's left. It's not going to do that thing where it takes all the interest, it's not going to like take a bunch of interest and add it on and then basically balloon up my amount owed to some kind of a crazy amount. And this is 10.99 or 10%, something like that. It's between 10 and 11%. So it's right there with the other home improvement stuff. This is home improvement as well. Like I said, a detached garage roof. So, I've got it down to under $2,000. I have made a $90 payment since, so it's down to $1,900. And, we made a couple of big payments to start off with, like $1,000 right off the bat, just because we thought we could pay it off in the first year. We can't, but at least we kind of made a huge push right up front so that we don't have to deal with as much once the 10% kicks in. And so that's where this one is. So again, 11.99, 10.99, and this could be 10.99 as well. And then again, this balance 1900 is higher than the other two. So again, we're just kind of still going in the same trajectory where it's the highest interest rate and the lowest ones. They're just kind of, again, this is, I don't know if it's coincidence or what, but it's really easy to work with by paying these three first in order. And then moving on, I have this personal loan from my credit union. This is at 10.24% interest. It was $16,728. So this was a bunch of credit cards. Well, this was 3 credit cards that I ended up getting a personal loan for to pay off. And these credit cards were a Chase, an American Express, and a Barclay card, which is what I used, which is what the Apple Store used back in the day when I got a MacBook Pro for school. And so those were between 19 and 22 or 23% interest. I think it was 19 to 22, but they were all hovering in that 20% range. So even though 10.24 is a little bit on the high side, I've seen lower amounts or lower interest rates. It's still basically cut my interest in half for my credit cards. And I've just passed the 1-year mark. It's a 3-year term. It's $537 a month. So this is a huge deal. This is pretty difficult, and it definitely drags me down. It definitely makes life a little bit harder, but I am down to, and the next payment date was August 25th, which I think was like the day of, or the day after I was recording my original video where I got the screenshot from. So a payment has already been made since this one. So it's down to about 11,200 something. And in like 2 weeks, I'll make another payment and it'll be down to like 10,000, 850 or so. So pretty good, 10,800. I mean, it's a pretty quick process because, it's over $400 goes toward the balance, the principal. So it's still, again, I've seen lower rates, but when I do a lower rate, it's like I have to do another 3-year term, a fresh 3-year term. And I've already got basically 2 years left on this. I don't want to add another year, because even though the interest rate is lower by like say 3 points, I've seen 7.24, and my monthly payment would go down from $537 to $342. This is one that I've actually done like the pre-approval for. Sounds really good. I'd be saving $200 a month and I would save 3% on the interest, but the 3 years, even at that interest rate, would add like $1,000 to my total amount paid. So, I'm not ready to do that right now. I'm just going to stick with what I have. I feel like 2 years left isn't that bad. I've done it for a year. I can do it for 2 more. And in fact, I'm going to try really hard to get those previous debts that I've showed paid off so that this one I can just really throw some extra money at, maybe an extra $300 or $400 a month. and possibly get this paid off in like 12, 13, 14 months instead of 24. If I can save 10 months or so, that's going to be a huge help, because once this is paid off, I mean, that really frees me up, as you would imagine. And yes, that might push out my time frame to where I can really go and do something. But, you know, I got to be smart. I got to be realistic. And having $537 extra a month is a huge difference. I mean, that's a no-brainer. So there's that. And you can see it started August 23rd of 2024. So being early September 25, it's just over the year mark. And then moving on, I've got my student loans. So you can see the total balance is $32,828. It's hard to say if it's that much or a little bit more or a little bit less. I did just make 2 payments. I made one payment to loan 4 and one payment to loan 6. For the longest time, now these are on the save plan, and if you don't have student loans, this might not mean a lot to you, but if you do, I really want to take a second to explain a few things, because I did work for a federal student loan servicer twice, not the one I'm with, not Mohila, but one called Navient, which I believe they changed their name to Maximus. It was right around the time I left, so I didn't actually take calls as Maximus. But it was a 0% interest for a long time, until just like last month or July. And now I can see what the interest rates are. So 4.45 for most of them, and then 5.05 for loans 5 and 6. So when we're talking about the Snowball versus the Avalanche, you know, clearly the highest interest rates are 5 and 6. However, I am going to be paying, or maybe I paid loan 2 and 6, but either way, the point is that I want to focus right now on this subsidized versus unsubsidized. And I made I grabbed a little thing from the internet. This isn't exactly what I wanted to show. I couldn't really find what I wanted. So I'm just going to talk about this briefly. Subsidized loans are, it says the government does not usually charge you interest while you are in school or during your 6-month grace period, which is when you graduate, you have 6 months to basically, you know, look for a job, try to get things in order, find a place to live, move to a different city, whatever. And they're like, we're just not going to charge you any interest. You know, this is like a grace period. You're good. The unsubsidized loans, they don't have that. It's not only your grace period or in school, though. It's also unemployment deferment. So if you're unemployed, you can fill out a form and you can get 6 months where you're not expected to pay your bill, pay your student loans. That's great for your subsidized loans. The interest doesn't add up. You're not adding anything to your balance. But the unsubsidized loans, they still accrue interest. And then when you come out of your unemployment deferment or your economic hardship deferment, and these have like usually 36-month caps. So it's 6 months, 6 times, and then you've exhausted that and you have to look for different options. So people do tend to use those really quickly. And it's kind of a bad decision. Use them if you absolutely have to. But because the subsidized loans are so much better, they're so much cheaper. If I go back to the loans, which loans am I going to pay first? Well, even though the interest rate of loan 5 is larger than loan 4 and 2, I'm just going to focus on the unsubsidized loans first. So loan 6 is the unsubsidized with the 5.05. I'm going to pay that one first. It also happens to be the very highest loan amount. So this is going to be a slog. This is going to be a long process. I'm going to try to throw money toward the other ones, like I just explained that I did, 30, 25, even $20 a month, it doesn't really matter. I'm just kind of trying to keep them from getting too much bigger. But I'm going to be throwing as much as I can toward loan 6. And then once that's done, I'm going to go toward loan 2 because it is higher than loan 4. And then loan 4, and then I can deal with all of the subsidized loans at the end. But if you have loans, you can just go pay specific loan, or there should be specified loans, something pretty clear as far as you can make a payment toward any of the loans that you want. So take a look if you are able to, if you can throw an extra $10 or $20 toward one of your loans, just focus on one of your unsubsidized loans. That's the biggest tip I can give you. And if this were like an actual live stream and there was a chat, I'd be happy to, read questions about this. And then I could kind of, I could respond to your chat by talking about it. So that's something that I wish this was a live stream for, the interaction. But again, I don't have the ability to do that right now. So you'll have to forgive me. Sorry about that. It would be a new experience for me, just like maybe I seem nervous, whatever, when I'm talking, because this is like, I don't have a lot of experience doing this. So it's going to get better. I'm not worried. Don't be worried, but for right now, I just want to make the videos. I think it's a lot of fun. And let's see, moving on. So wait, did I do that? So that's that, right? I'm going to do 6, 2, 4, and then I'll deal with the other ones as I go. I'm not really worried about that. I have and this is the last one. I have my Honda Civic, and this is a 2020. It was a lease, so I leased it for 3 years, 0 down, because I didn't have a job when I leased this. So it was the only thing I could get. And it's a good car. It's a good car. No shade, no negativity. I've always had Hondas, as a matter of fact, but because this was a 0 down lease option, I needed a car to get to a job. So, but then after the 3 years, I was way over the miles that I was allowed because my job was so far away that I would have had to pay like a crazy amount of overage on the miles, and then I would not have a car. So I decided to basically buy the car from the lease. 6 years, I know 6 years is actually really common, but I don't recommend it. If I could do it again, I would really try to, get a 4-year or 3, but probably 4. I think that's more reasonable. However, I made a mistake. Try not to do a 6-year purchase like I did, because this says it's going to be done in January 2030. Kind of ridiculous. But you know what? The payment is pretty reasonable. It's $334. I hear so many horror stories about people paying like $800 a month or $500 or $600 plus insurance, and they're paying well over $1,000 just for their car. So I don't feel, and the average cost of a car is like $40,000. I don't know. I mean, this was only $19,640 only. I could go on about this. This is kind of it's not nearly as bad as a lot of people have it with their vehicles, but I'm not happy with how this all worked out. So the good thing is I can always throw a couple extra bucks toward it. It would just go toward the principal. So instead of $334, maybe I'd be able to send $400, and this could get knocked down to, a reasonable amount. With that being said, if I am to go to Spain or Malaysia or Thailand or the Philippines or Argentina or whatever, I'm not going to take my car with me. So I want to keep it in good shape. I just did an oil change like last weekend, did the tire rotation. I've done those every single time since I had it with like 0 miles. So it's been taken very good care of. I probably am underwater just because of all of the miles that are on it. It's like 80,000 miles or so. But the point is, whatever. I'll sell it back to CarMax or Carvana. If I owe a couple $1,000s or something, so be it. I'll just pay it off. And then the payment, the car payment and the insurance together are like $500. So, you know, I might have to pay to get out of this and like offload it. But at the end, if I'm saving $500 on my car and I'm saving $500 plus on my personal loan, that's more than $1,000, which is a huge, huge deal, no matter how cheap another country may be. And then on top of that, you've got the $100, $108 basically for the washing machine, $108 for the HVAC, and then like say $90 for the garage roof. So that's, you know, about $300. So $1,300. And then all I really have to do is basically take care of my student loans. I'm just double checking. So anyway, long-winded type of thing, but at least I was able to get this done without having to edit and take forever and, you know, not ever get this video out, because by the time I would have finally edited that video with sound effects and transitions and, you know, it's fun to do, but I can't do it on like a 25, 30 minute video. That's just too much work. So, you know, this one might not be super exciting, but I do love the idea of live streaming. I need to, you know, work on alerts. I need to practice a little bit more. And then, you know, I'll probably announce a test stream eventually where hopefully I can give you guys, you know, a heads up by maybe a week or two. And I can say, okay, it's going to be Sunday at 4 Eastern, or, you know, I mean, I'm in Pacific, 1 Pacific. I'll probably even take a little bit of time to think about like, what is it in the UK, just to kind of give people a little bit of extra information. I don't know, as far as that, but yeah, I mean, it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. Probably going to be a little bit uncomfortable or come across a little bit awkward at first, because, you know, I don't know a lot of people who are born streamers. It's like a thing that you just get used to over time as you do it. And I've never done it before. So even though this isn't actually live, it's a good test. It's a good experiment. And I'm going to wrap this up. So I will say, like I always do, if you like the video, please like the video. If you find this content useful or helpful or entertaining or educational, please feel free to subscribe or consider subscribing. That would be awesome. I would appreciate it. And leave a comment. Do you like this live stream formula? Would you be okay with me doing more quote unquote live streams, recorded live streams, in lieu of like whatever transitions and sound effects and all that? Because it's way faster. But if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please leave them down below, and I will catch you next time.